welcome to another DJ Force 10 in Conversation podcast, episode 129. My guest on today's show is Tom from Allfather. He's also part of a black metal project called Wretched Empires. They've got an EP out called Bloom. It's out now on all sort of social streaming networks and whatnot, Bandcamp, stuff like that. And also the usual streaming outlets. But also he's frontman for Allfather as well, which are kind of a big groove metal band out of the sort of Kent area of the world. And yeah, we talk all things Allfather, all things Wretched Empires. It was a nice little chat. I've known Tom for a few years on social media, but we've never really chatted or anything like that before. He's always recommended some good music to me. So yeah, why not get him on the show? Yeah, it's been kind of cool so far with all these podcasts, all these chats that I've been having. It's been very helpful, to be perfectly honest, as well. And it's going to continue, I hope. I'm trying to get in contact with a lot more people. I'm actually drawing up a dream list that I'm going to put out on social media and see if I can get anyone off that said list, which would be kind of cool if it happens. If not, c'est la vie. Another change to my radio outlets. I know last week, I think it was, I announced that Crossing the Streams was coming back. In fact, I've decided not to continue that show. It was a decision because I was doing so many things and something had to give. I'm enjoying doing the podcast at the moment. It's been a great outlet for me, and with the radio show that goes along with that as well, it's kind of easy to just sort of drop the interview in, play some music, and generally concoct an hour's worth of stuff. With Crossing the Streams, I love mixing music. I do it quite a lot, but recording it and getting it sounding right, and it just felt a bit stilted. And Total Rock, I got a few DJs doing some alternative music and stuff like that. And I figured, I've got 2 slots in there. I need the one for the outlet at the moment. It may come back in the future. I know I'm going to do one big. I'm actually going to publish the mix that I did, the live show, on Mixcloud. So keep an eye out for that. It was a good 3-hour mix. I kept a digital copy of that, so I'm going to upload that at some point. I just need to track list it, and so I can actually put it up properly so all the artists get recognised for what I did, for what they did on my mix, so they get paid on that front. But yeah, no, Crossing the Streets, it's not dead. It's just in a prolonged hiatus. It's just that I need to sort of balance what I'm doing at the moment. Even though I've got a lot of time, I figured I need to concentrate more on certain aspects. And, I've got stuff for work to do and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like I'm not doing anything. And this podcast stuff is great because I'm chatting to people, and it's just a nice, easy flow, really, for me, on that front. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. It's not bad news that I'm not doing that anymore. You can always go back and listen to old episodes of Crossing Streams. They're all on my Mixcloud. I've just uploaded all my podcasts on Mixcloud as well. So you've got my entire kind of broadcast library at the moment. Apologies for anyone that follows me on Mixcloud. I've just been spamming the whole past few days uploading loads of stuff. I disconnected it from my Twitter feed. It got that bad because it kept posting up every time I did something. But yeah, I've got 129 episodes on there now, including this one, and 174, I think, of actually Crossing the Streams. There's probably a couple of missing off that, but there's that means there's plenty of stuff up there. There's over 300 shows of me yapping away, talking about when I used to be in a band or when I was in Florida. The usual sort of tidbits I usually hit in these interviews. But no, see, I'm aware of it. I just can't stop it. It just seems to come up in conversation. That one time at band camp. But yeah, I'm going to go into this interview now because I am waffling and I'm trying to fill time for some reason. It was a nice chunky interview, this one, and I really enjoyed speaking to Tom. And yeah, if you want to go check out Allfather, go do it. Bandcamp is the place to do it. They've got a bunch of their music on Pay What You Want, and stuff like that. And then you've got Wretched Empires. So if you're into kind of black metal, it is very traditionally kind of the traditional production side of things as well. So you do get the full kind of blast. We'll go into that in the interview. I'm rambling. But yeah, this is Tom from Allfather and Wretched Empires. Enjoy. I've got Tom with me today. He is the front man from two bands. You've got Allfather and you've got Wretched Empires. Welcome, Tom.
Oh, sorry, I was just taking a sip of beer there. Hello, Barney. How's it going? You all right?
Yeah, not bad. Excellent start there.
I was expecting a longer intro, that was all.
Oh, no, I don't dwell on intros. I just want to get them over and done. It's the only sort of like kind of like radio voice thing I do. So it feels awkward, so I just get it over and done with. But no, that's all good. Welcome, Tom. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really well. All things considered, doing really well, thank you.
Excellent. So, yeah, like I said, we're here today to talk about both your bands, actually. You've got Allfather and you've got Wretched Empires. Both sort of very different styles in band. But what we're going to do, we're going to talk about Allfather to start with, then we'll get on to Wretched Empires, because you've got a new release on that front, haven't you?
We have, yeah. We have.
Excellent. Cool. Well, let's start with Allfather, just purely because that stuff's already out there, and you're kind of doing a lot with that as well still. Could you give us sort of like a bit of background on the band itself?
Sure. We have been going, I think, I can never remember if it's 6 or 7 years now, but we 6 or 7 years ago, me and a guy called Andrew were talking over Twitter, and he asked me to come and play bass in a band that he wanted to set up. I said, I don't play bass, but I can sort of bellow into a microphone. And he said, yeah, that sounds all right. And then 6 or 7 years later, here we are with, I think, 2 demos, 1 EP, 2 singles and 2 albums.
Yeah.
So we released our second album, An All Be Desolation, in September 2018. And previous to that, 4 years ago and 1 day ago, in fact, we released our debut album, which was Bless the Earth with Fire. We play a mix of, well, it's always hard to say. Basically, we're a heavy metal band.
Yep.
But we bring into it, we got a pretty sludgy sound, but with plenty of like hardcore in there as well, bits of doom, little tiny sprinkles of stoner, some punk rock, and some solos, and just try and mix it all up together.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I've got written down about sort of like style of band. I put kind of like big riffs and very sort of like groove laden stuff. But yeah, also the element of hardcore and stuff I put in there as well. So I was like, sort of
we've
ticking the boxes, if you will.
we certainly sort of lead from a riff-based approach to songwriting. So we'll, between Andrew, who's actually our bass player now, but initially was our guitarist, and Al, who's our guitarist now, they'll come up with a set of riffs, and we'll then over time build up demos and build up songs based on those. And we're really lucky that Andrew and Al both really good at writing riffs, so we're really that's what we build from.
No, it's good stuff. Anyone listening, pause this, go listen to it. It's good. But yeah, no, I was just sort of like, I've been listening to your stuff since we sort of like sorted out this interview. I had obviously heard you before. I heard the Desolation album when you released it, like you said, a couple of years ago. And it's definitely good stuff. I was just sort of going to sort of see, because you guys are sort of doing not so much releasing music at the moment, but you're doing like sort of a pay as you want thing on your music, and you're sort of donating the proceeds.
Well, so we said it's been our latest album has been out, I think, more than 18 months now, and I think probably about a year ago I made everything but that album pay as you want, because that, not necessarily from a donation point of view, but it just felt more accessible, makes our music more accessible. And actually, I probably need to do some proper research on this, but I find that actually the sales of those records, even at quite a small level, feels like it happens more when you don't put a price tag on it. So you get more sort of small sales rather than the big one-off. And then when the COVID stuff started, just felt like the right thing to do, just to give people access to more music to listen to. And we're generally, as a band, in a fairly solid position financially, certainly at the moment. and it's just we stopped when we made it free. All of a sudden, people started spending money on it.
Yeah.
So we actually encourage people not to spend money on our music and to take it for free. But generally, every week or so, we see how much we've got, and we'll donate most of it to charity.
Cool.
And we've been picking like different local charities to do that too over the last few weeks. And we'll try and continue to do that as long as we can. So yeah, it just I said, just felt like the right thing to do.
Nice. You got to love a bit of reverse psychology in there as well. Just like getting people,
Well, it was not purposeful, but every time I say, please don't spend any money, spend it somewhere else, do something else with it. 3 or 4 people buy the album. I'm like, for fuck's sake.
You got a future in sales, sir.
Well, yeah, it seems so.
Cool. What are your guys' plans at the moment? Obviously, with COVID in its midst, but what are your sort of like plans going forward, like with Allfather?
So, literally, I think the day before lockdown, or a couple of days before lockdown, we were about to go into a practice room and basically finish off the last couple of songs we've got for the new album. And so we've got 5 songs written now, pretty much completely written for the new record, and we wanted to do 2 or 3 more, and obviously we just haven't had an opportunity to do that. We've got all the demos sitting there. Last year we worked on We've got an ongoing joke. We've got issues with we've never been able to keep a drummer, and we have got one at the moment. And but last year, during the summer, we had 2 drummers. We had our current drummer, who's my little brother Guy, used to play in a band called Pay No Respect. He's a brilliant drummer, and he was like helping us out from a live point of view. And then at the same time, we were doing some writing with a chap called Jason Fry, who's the drummer from a band called Harrowed, who's also recorded all of our work up until now. And sort of like sometimes feels like a bit of the extra member of the band, a really good friend of ours. And in fact, Al, who's our guitar player, now plays bass in Harrowed as well. So we worked some demos through with him playing drums for us, and we got, I think, eight demos down with sort of either guitar and drums, or guitar, bass and drums, all live. And so this year we've been trying to build on those and tweak them and add vocals and things like that. And we were just getting some real momentum behind it before all this kicked in. So our plans are, as soon as this finishes and as soon as we're in a position to safely get back together and continue writing with that's what we're going to do. We may be slightly less ambitious with the amount of songs we can get written for the album. I think we were like, let's do 8, maybe 10, and have a couple spare, and we could do some splits. I think we might wind that back a little bit, but we've got a load of new material that we just want to get on with. It's really exciting for us to write new music. We don't get a lot of time to practice together because of jobs and families, things like that. So it always feels like it takes forever. But like I said, we've got 5 or 6 tracks. They're definitely Allfather tracks, but and this is where I always start to sound like any cliched musician talking about new music. They are certainly not more melodic than they are probably much heavier than our previous stuff, and with some more extreme elements put in there, some faster sort of like death metal and some blast beats and things like that. And we recorded. We were a 5-piece when Desolation came out, and we're now a 4-piece. Yeah. So we've taken a slightly stripped back approach to songwriting as well. Certainly for these set of songs. So it's slightly more of a punk rock hardcore sound, but shouldn't be too much of a difference between previous material. Yeah. But it's just really exciting to play these songs, and feels like the right way for the band to go.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to that. I'm looking forward to a lot of new music, to be honest, as well. A lot of bands are kind of like obviously delaying stuff at the moment, but no, there's going to be a lot of good music out there. I think
there's a slight danger that come the end of this year, loads of songs have been written during this period called Isolation and All by Myself and things like that. Hundreds of bands with lockdown songs, but we're going to try and avoid that. We're not going to try and fall into that.
No COVID blues.
No COVID blues. So yeah, that's what we're going to try and do anyway.
We'll try, but it'll sneak in there somehow. It always does. But yeah, no, you were chatting about sort of like a sort of death metal sound. That kind of brings us on to your current project that you've got going on with Wretched Empires. You guys just released an EP called Bloom, literally a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It's quite a different sound to Allfather. Whereas Allfather, you got that kind of like big riff, kind of like you say, sort of doomy, stonery sort of sound going on. With Wretched Empires, it's very much on the sort of more sort of thrash, sort of black metal side of things. Yeah,
it's a more or less, not straight up black metal, but a big chunk of it is based around black metal. Cody and Will from the band I met via Twitter and band stuff. So they used to be in a band called Red Bait, and they're from St. Louis in America. And was speaking to them for ages before this. Well, certainly to Will anyway, before this came along about those bands. And he was a fan of Allfather. And I think probably at the end of 2018, there was some band stuff going on in Allfather, and it felt like not a lot was happening. And I sort of in a emotional state put something on Twitter about, I want to be in some other bands, and Will jumped on it and said, look, I'm a big fan of what you've done in some of the higher screamy stuff you've done in Allfather on the last album, and just wondered if you'd be interested in doing some vocals on a black metal project that me and Cody have got going. And I said, well, if you think I can do it, I've not really done black metal before. And he said, no, I think you can absolutely do it. And he sent me a big chunk of guitar demos again. And I started listening to them, and it was a very different style of music to write lyrics to. And I've always found the stuff for Allfather, about two or three songs aside, it's quite easy to work out like vocal phrasing and timing and things like that, about where vocals should sit within that song and where you put like shouty bits to make it good, and where you don't sing as well. But certainly the stuff that Will sent me, I was like, oh, okay, this is this is going to be different. And as a result, it took me quite a long time to work out those songs. And then halfway through, sort of Allfather stuff kicked off a little bit again, and delayed it a little bit. But so I think the album, the EP came out 2 weeks ago, and I think 6 weeks ago I finally got into a studio. Al from Allfather came and helped me out with recording the vocals. Yeah. So about 6 weeks ago I recorded the vocals and then sent them over to Will, and I've been waiting so long for them. He mixed them and everything in about a week, and then we were ready for release for it. So it came out a couple of weeks ago, and went down really, really well, considering we did about a week of press.
Yeah.
Had nothing out before, and sold, I think, way over 100 copies of it in the first week or so, and blown away by how people found it. I mean, I thought it was really good, because you always do when you write your own material, when you work on your own material. But with something that's debut, you're never sure how it's going to land. But I think the mix of sort of the black metal approach and the production on it is a very sort of, I don't know a lot about black metal, so I'm guessing a bit here, sort of quite a traditional, gnarly sounding production on it.
Yes.
Probably fairly traditional vocal styles as well, but mixed into that black metal, there's some like D-beat and some punk and some hardcore. And I think the biggest standout is some of Will's lead guitar work and solos, which at time feels quite almost like classic metal, but doesn't like make it sound weird. It fits in really well with how those songs have been structured, and that, I think that in particular, when we've been sort of looking at reviews and what people have said, has certainly been the big standout for that. So really happy with it.
Oh, that's really cool. I mean, like I said, you said the like production side of things. It is very traditionally like that. When I listened to it, I was like, this sounds like black metal, as in the production side of it, because it has it like they've always had that kind of raw sounding elements to their music.
Yeah, and I think again, this is where black metal elitists might tell me to shut the fuck up, but but obviously when black metal started off, a lot of it was sort of bedroom recordings and things like that, and it feels like from then on, many bands have tried to recreate that sort of basement sound, even when they're doing big studio albums. But this was recorded in Will's basement. So he's got a little studio set up down there. So it's not like he's made it sound like it's recorded at home. It was recorded at home. The vocals weren't, to be fair. That was a studio. I don't have quite the setup at home to be able to do that. But a lot of that sound is because it has been recorded at home, and it's a very DIY approach from what we've done. So yeah, that's why. And I think it works really well. As someone that, again, I don't know if you talked about this a few times, but not knowing and not being a massive black metal fan, something I did now and again think, if we put some proper production on this, it would sound amazing. And I'm like, no. Let's see how it goes down. And absolutely right. I think it suits it so well, and the whole feel of the record really works for me. So
cool. Yeah, no, I've got a few friends that are into that specifically that genre. And from a lot of the stuff they sort of like send me or play me, it does very much sound like traditional black metal, if you will. But yeah, no, that's all cool. So how did you find it? Kind of like doing a kind of international kind of project.
It's the talking to band member things has been fine, actually. The sort of, can you do this, and what are the lyrics need to be about? So I basically said to Will, what do you want me to write about? This is very much his project, and whereas sort of Allfather, me and Andrew have very much written all our lyrics together in the same vein. We know what we want to talk about. So I said to him, what do you want me to talk about? And he said, he explained to me what he wanted to do, and it's been really easy to just take that. So I wrote some lyrics, sent it to him. He said, that's great. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And bearing in mind the amount of drama that usually comes with being in a band, it's been more or less very stress-free. The biggest, I think he's probably been quite patient with me in terms of the amount of time it took me to get the vocals sorted out. But it's been really easy. The hardest thing for me has been trying to practice vocals without a band around you.
Yeah.
So I'm used to being in a big, loud practice room and bellowing into the microphone, and it sounding, it's loud enough that you can't really hear yourself. Acoustically, you can only hear your amplified self. But trying to recreate that with a set of demos and me in a rehearsal room by myself, trying to get all those levels right. I'm not a PA man, I'm a vocalist. I don't understand how music works. So trying to get all those levels right, and then that sort of new vocal approach as well. That although I've done sort of high screaming stuff, I've not done it for like all the songs all the way through, and the sort of difficulties that with the phrasing, like I spoke about earlier, all those things combined together have made it really difficult to begin with to try and feel comfortable doing it. And I think I had probably about 2 or 3 vocal sessions by myself, and I was just like, damn it, man, I can't get this to work. I really don't like this. And then towards the end of last year, I think like October time, I did a couple, and something just clicked, and all of a sudden it was really easy. So any of the issues has been is the time I've taken, and me going to Will, I'm sorry, I've not got this right, or this doesn't sound quite right, or if I do this again, it will be higher. But otherwise, it's been really, really straightforward. Cool. Just the technical aspects of recording has been a bit of a challenge, but most of it, the hardest bit has been for me, practicing without a band around me, which is what I'm used to.
Cool. So how did you maintain your voice during this? Like, because obviously like you said you weren't like used to persistently singing like on those high sort of like tones and notes. How did you sort of like maintain your voice in between? Because obviously it's quite easy to sort of like in my experience anyway, it's quite easy to blow it out if you're not careful.
Well, I think I've been doing Allfather so long that I've tried to incorporate over the years sort of all levels.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm not sure how, whether technical voice coaches would agree, but technically I can do what I can do, and rarely is it a problem. So I can do like a 3-4 hour practice session, and with that sort of different ranges of stuff, I'm absolutely fine.
Yeah.
As long as I've warmed up properly, I get my breathing right. It took me about 2 years to realise if once you've warmed up, you drink a cold beer, your throat restricts again and you're back to where you started. But I've learned that now.
That's good.
I've got like a routine I go through to warm up that just gets my voice into the right place. That I can do those things. And it was just learning a new routine for this to be able to do that. And actually it ended up, the way I did it in the end was the first sort of half hour, 45 minutes, I put on Allfather songs and sung them and ended with the songs that had the highest ranges in them. So I think there's Night of the Jackal's Night and By Sword, By Famine, By Plague both have really high bits in them.
Yeah.
So I finished with them and then was able to transition quite easily to start practicing the higher stuff because I'd already done it in a comfortable way with songs I knew.
Yeah.
I was then able to do it all the way through with the songs for Wretched Empires. So in the same session, I'd like warm up with Allfather songs, start singing Wretched Empire songs, and then I'd done that, I think, just enough to get confident. And for me, the biggest trick to vocals that I've learned, once you've got into a position where your throat can do it and your lungs can do it and your diaphragm can do it, is the confidence. If you're not confident about doing something, your voice will show in your voice.
Yeah.
And once you're confident with it, you're laughing. And I think I just got to the point with Wretched Empires for recording where I was confident with it. I think next time I'd like to probably do a couple more practices so I could get even more confident and familiar with what I was doing. But that was the sort of the journey, getting from stuff I know, the new stuff, confident with the new stuff, and being able to do it without you sort of voice wobbling and things like that. Yeah. But I've not blown my voice out in ages, and the only time I generally do that is if I'm playing a live show and the PA shit, and I can't hear myself, and then I sometimes overcompensate and realise, oh bugger up, this isn't going right.
That lack of monitors. It's always the lack of monitors. Lack
of monitors, and usually I'll just go out in front of the PA and listen to myself there. But it is something that I'm always really conscious of. And no matter how many times you sound check, as soon as you play the first note on stage, everything's different anyway. Yeah. It doesn't sound like it did in sound check. And bad monitors is the biggest risk to me blowing out my voice.
Yeah. No, I blamed many a bad monitor in my time. But yeah, no, that's cool. So yeah, I was going to relate with that, because you do become very self-conscious when you're sort of like, when you are singing, you're not comfortable with what you are singing, like in the styles that you've got it, and is that sort of, you've got to battle that kind of like, you've got to get over yourself, if you will.
And the rest of the band, especially guitarists, forget how hard it is to practice vocals when you're not in a studio. So they'll go, oh yeah, I played through in my bedroom with my headphones on and got used to it, and I can't sit around my house screaming my head off, It just doesn't work like that. So having to always go into like a studio type situation to be able to properly practice your vocals through a proper PA is sometimes expensive and inconvenient sometimes, and feels weird, but it's something I'm getting. I just got to do sometimes to get that practice going.
Cool. So this Wretched Empires, is it just a studio project, or are you guys planning to sort of at some point maybe No,
it's very much a studio project. Because of the distances involved, and I would say extremely unlikely to ever be in a financial position where we could do anything else. Also, Will, I don't think you'll mind me saying, has no interest in playing live at all. It's just not something he enjoys doing in any way, shape or form. And I think the combination of those two things means it will very much always be a studio project. Yeah. But that's fine, because cool. you know where you are with that. And we've got, I think I've got 3 or 4 more demos in my inbox that I'm starting to look at and work through. And so we're hoping for another EP at some point. Again, once him and Cody are able to be in the same room together to practice and record, we'll hopefully have at least another EP sorted out. Cool. But I think the idea, unless Will tells me otherwise, is to keep doing this, keep producing more music while we can.
Yeah, cool, excellent, good stuff. Well, I've got a couple of questions left for you.
Okay,
these are my sort of like. These are my generic questions, apart from my generic intros. But these are sort of just more centered around yourself. Just sort of getting to sort of like know where you've been, where you've come from, where you're at now. Is like your 3 sort of top albums that have influenced the singer musician that you've become. So the ones that really made you want to pick up a microphone, stuff like that really influenced you.
Yeah, definitely singer, probably not musician. So that's good. That's a good question. So I think first and foremost, my favourite album of all time ever is the Rage Against the Machine debut. For many reasons, mainly because it's awesome. It's pretty much perfect all the way through. Lyrically, it just used to hit. So it still does hit really hard. I think in various cover bands I was in as a youngster, I've pretty much covered at some point every single one of those songs on the debut. Badly, obviously. But just at the time. But I think the vocal approach to the anger that was always in Zach's voice on that album in particular is just always blew me away. So I think that one for certain. I think. From a vocal range point of view, in a very much sort of metal way, what's his face from Lamb of God?
Oh, Randy.
Randy's. I've liked him for years. Why I can't remember his name all of a sudden, but he's that sort of fairly unique, almost gargling thing he had going on back when they released Palaces, and the way he goes from low to high, and again the way he's able to phrase some of their best songs, the phrasing and the way he puts things together with that range has always really impressed me, and something that's probably influenced me quite a lot. Cool. And I'm just trying to think from a hardcore band point of view. I've very much really always been into hardcore as well, and things like the way really good hardcore singers can put in a good mosh call or something like that just completely transform something. But just trying to think of one album that probably does that for me, but it's probably lots of different songs and things like that. But I think from a just always really impressed from a frontman point of view, Neil Fallon from Clutch.
Nice.
The way I saw him at Brixton Academy last year.
Yeah.
And it was them on a massive stage. There was the 4 of them. They had 3 cabs, maybe even 2 cabs, a drum kit and him. Yep. And they, through that, and him in particular, just had the whole place in awe of them. I just think being able to be that sort of charismatic frontman, he doesn't do a lot. He doesn't make a big meal of it. He doesn't. There's no gimmicks. It's just him performing the songs, his voice and his lyrics. I think it's always really impressed me. And I suppose from that point of view, I'd say that any sort of Clutch album, and I suppose the Lamb of God album, that's the first one. I think you asked albums, didn't you?
Yeah.
So As Palaces Burn.
Yep.
Lamb of God album, and Always For Me, Blast Tyrant, I think is the best Clutch album.
Excellent. No, I love Blast Tyrant.
There you go.
No, that's all good. Thank you for that. No, I was going to say with like the Lamb of God thing. I name drop him. I actually had him on my show recently. So I got to speak to him before they delayed the album. To be honest with you, so
yeah.
But the new album's really good, by the way. I'm telling everyone this. It's not coming out till September, but I've got it. So
yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I think the songs I've heard of it are just they're great Lamb of God songs. And I would say that some of their later stuff can be a little generic. I think the album with Embers on it and 512, the one with the strange name, I think is brilliant. I absolutely love that. I love the Wraith album, and a Contractor on the Wraith album. I still think it's just it's a perfect little 3-minute metal song. Yeah. But I'm interested to see what the new album's like. I think the couple of songs I've heard off of it have been great Lamb of God songs, but I've not been utterly blown away by them. So, but I am looking forward to the album as a whole. Yeah, no, there are some good other tracks on there, so it is worth looking forward to. But yeah, no, I was just going to say he comes from like the sort of like punk background, because I sort of asked him the same sort of questions, the sort of generic questions. And his sort of like influences and stuff are very much sort of like punk bands. Yeah. Like sort of, so they have that kind of like, that punky hardcore, or he has that punky hardcore element to him. So yeah, no, indeed.
Sort of straight up metal. But no, Clutch, fantastic. Every time I've seen them live, I remember the first time I saw them live was in the Concord in Brighton. Many years ago. I think it was them and Candiria were playing together. They're doing a hell of a tour, to be fair.
Wasn't that with? Because I saw him. I think I saw him with Raging Speedhorn were headlining at the Astoria or the LA2. Might have been the LA2, and yeah, it was the LA2 with Clutch was supporting them.
Okay.
And I think I hadn't quite got the full Clutch love on at that point, because I think that was on the Pure Rock Fury tour. It wasn't until Blast Tyrant that I fully embraced them. But I think it's less the albums and the vocal range, and more just that as a live persona. As a live persona, it's just engrossing, and he's not doing a lot apart from singing and waving his hands around a bit.
Yeah. No, that's pretty much what he was doing then, to be fair. But no, I remember the show. It wasn't Raging Spirit who weren't playing that one. It was actually, I don't know if you remember these guys, Landmine Spring.
Oh man, the first Landmine Spring album, is it Elephantine?
Yeah.
I still love that album. I still listen to it like once a month. It is absolutely phenomenal.
Nice. Yeah, no, they were opening that show, and then I think it was Clutch supporting and Candiria as headliner.
Okay. I have actually. I saw Clutch at the Concord 2. Yeah. Me and the other half went. What tour was it? Might have been Cousins from the West tour. I think it might have been. And I don't even know who the support band was. But again, they were fantastic.
Nice, excellent. So, last question. What are your sort of hobbies away from music? So when you're not writing for Wretched Empires, or you're not doing anything Allfather, and we're not in lockdown generally, what do you do as sort of like hobby wise?
It's just, I don't know. I think just music mostly. Yeah. Listening to music. I've got a family, so I've got 3 kids. Got the other half. Got work. So just sort of family things. I do a bit of cooking.
Cool.
Like my beers, but mostly it's mostly based around listening to music, going to see music, writing music, talking about music.
Everything music.
And just music basically. So I don't think I've got any other hobbies.
No.
Cooking. I suppose cooking's the biggest bit, especially grilling during the summer.
Yep.
When it's not raining, getting the grill out. That's what I like to do.
Cool. Are you a specialist when it comes to the grill?
No. I can't afford to. So I've generally got a big traditional barbecue that I'm mostly a charcoal.
Yep.
A charcoal griller. If I had more space, time and money, I wouldn't mind a little gas griller for convenience. But I'm used to be a traditional British barbecuer.
Nice.
So charcoal, you cook it, you get it off, you eat it. It's great. I have started to use the grills more for slower cooking, bigger joints of meat.
Nice.
And just take it. Not quite got into smoking yet. I tried it for a bit, didn't quite work. I might go back to it, but trying to do sort of less small bit, like less burgers and sausages and more, slower cooking over the charcoals. Did a nice bit big bits of lamb and big bits of beef and things like that on it. Yeah,
it's really about utilising because you get a lot of heat off those coals. I know we're kind of going off a massive tangent here from music, but I love barbecuing. I've sort of like, I got really into it when I moved over to America, because it's quite a big thing over there. So I got into sort of like smoking methods and what to cook on the grill, because normally before that I was kind of like, like say traditional British barbecuer. You sort of throw it on there, grill it, hope that it's cooked through, especially on the sausages and the chicken, and then maybe burn it. But now I'm like, I say obviously, but I hand make all my burgers. I like larger cuts of meat. Like I've gone through the smoking method and everything, and I've got my sort of like almost technique down for certain meats.
Well, I think two things I did last year, which were game changers. I did at a friend's house, got some beef short ribs in like a soy sort of Thai. No, it's fish sauce, not soy. Fish sauce Thai marinade, and cooked them for about 4 or 5 hours on very low coals, and they were ridiculously good. And then I did a lamb shoulder with like a pomegranate glaze thing for about 4 hours.
Nice.
And both of those things came out really well, and I've been looking forward to getting back out in the garden. I think I did a big bit of steak a couple of days ago, so the weather's been nice, which I didn't quite get right. Cooked it too quickly, too hot, even though it was a big steak, so I need to chill out a bit more and take it a bit more easily. But I didn't have good coals for that one, so I suppose now I've said all that, cooking is probably my,
no, definitely. I'm a big cook myself, so this is something I don't get to talk about too often, especially barbecuing. But I just like, it's like I was going to say before, it's like utilising the amount of heat you get from these coals, or the length of the heat you get from them, because like you could throw like hot dogs and burgers on there, cook them up in 10-15 minutes, but then your barbecue's going to remain hot for the next few hours. And it's kind of getting that kind of like use of that coal that you're not using.
Yeah, I'm an impatient cook, and I'm working on my patience for things. I worked as a chef part time for about 20 years. Not like a posh chef, like a line cook, I think they're called in America, but doing steaks in a big family restaurant and things like that. So that's all about quickly getting stuff done and getting it in a good position, getting out the door. And I have more time to do things when I'm by myself, and I just need to be a bit more patient with things than I could be, which would be better for the food at the end of the day.
I mean, if you want quick smoke stuff, a quick smoke thing, if you get chicken wings, I mean, they're dead cheap anyway, but not for the pun there, sorry. Totally not meant to. No, smoking wings are that's a real like it's done within less than a few hours generally, because there's not much sort of like it's not very like thick meat to cook.
Yeah.
You can get that real smoky sort of chicken taste on it.
We're a big chicken wing family, so probably once a fortnight we have huge amounts of chicken wings cooked up, mostly in the oven, but I'm looking for, again, getting the opportunity to start putting some of them on the grill and slow cooking them, but I might try a smoke on them, a quick smoke on them to begin with.
Yeah, do that and pork belly's a good one as well. So
yeah.
Pork, then that's a good one. I enjoy doing that one as well, so yeah. Cool. Well, I'm really hungry now. Not had my dinner yet. But no, cool. Tom, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it.
No worries. It's been nice to talk to you.
Yeah. Good luck with the Wretched Empires stuff and all that. And I look forward to hearing some more Allfather once this whole shebang kind of disappears on us. Or it probably won't disappear for a while, but trying to remain positive and looking forward to stuff.
Yeah, as long as we allow 4 people in a room, we can get going on stuff. Yeah. So once we get to that point, we'll be good.
Cool. Well, man, thank you very much. Actually, one more thing before we go. I already said it, like, because we've known each other on Twitter for a while. I think that's where we kind of like met years ago over, I think I'm going to say vision disorder.
Yeah, my main base of Twitter followers were as a result of vision disorder, I think. So
yeah, absolutely fantastic band. Love them completely. No, I was going to say thank you for the smash hit combo recommendation years ago.
Oh shit, no worries.
I was just trying. I was like looking at that, and I was like, oh fuck, you were the one that did that. I love that band. I've actually had them on the show as well.
Cool.
And it was just before they released their double. Well, I say double album. One was one was French, one was English album. Thank you for that, because they're on my regular playlists. So
I completely forgot about them, so I'm going to have to go back and listen to them again now.
Yeah, they've got, like I said, they've got an album in English now, so it's not all French sort of rap.
Cool.
They got a I think it was a couple of years ago. They got a vocalist that could sing in English, and they did an album, like the same album, but one in French and one in English. So, but yeah, no, thank you. I just want to say thank you for that.
It's all right.
As we're here. So, cool. Well, like I said, good luck with everything, man. And, have a good rest of your evening.
Cheers. You too, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.